You're taking over a new group of receivers, and the casual fan looks at receivers and they can see that guys are this tall or this fast or this weigh this much. When you start working with guys for the first time, whether they're freshmen or seniors, what do you look for first?
Well, the first thing I want to know is that person competitive. I think that's the most important part of it. You have to be competitive. Whether that person is determined each and every day to come out and be, his very best. I mean, obviously, he can't be as good as certain guys that are out there, or he can't be better than certain guys that have played here in the past. But he can definitely be the best he can be. And I think that's one of the most important things. Is how determined is that player to be the best player that he can be, and then how committed is he to doing that. So those are the things I'm gonna look for and see what guys that are reliable. You can count on to show up every day and be where they're supposed to be and compete at the level that I expect them to compete at. So.
Some coaches talk about players who are, I guess, the football equivalent of gym rats, where they're constantly in the weight room, they're constantly in the coaches' offices. You've been working for SMU for a month, but most of that time you've been out on the road looking at recruits. Mm-hmm. Have your guys been making a point to come in and get in your office and meet you and start talking about receiving?
Yeah. There's been a couple guys come through here. I haven't been here enough for all the guys to come through here, but but the times I've been here, I've had at least one or two guys a day come in the office and just kind of get to know. We want to get to know each other and kind of talk about their expectations and what my expectations are. So so guys have been doing that. Guys have been coming in.
As you get ready for your first spring with SMU, and as you said, really getting to know these guys for the first time, and beginning your teaching process and your drills and your terminology and everything, how much is your process slowed by the fact that whoever is taking the snaps as quarterback next year is going to be brand new? Stephen Kaiser got a couple snaps in the bowl game, but for all intents and purposes, these are all brand new as far as game experience in this offense. What does that do to your teaching process?
Nothing. I mean, the teaching process for me will be the same. Our job is to make the quarterback look good, and we want to make the spectacular look routine. So those are the things that we're going to talk about on a daily basis. So who's ever back there, he needs to know that he has some receivers out there that he can have confidence in order for him to have the ability to do his job. So that job, our job won't be predicated on who's the signal caller or quarterback. That's not our job. Our job is to go out and make plays for whoever it is. So it won't affect us at all.
How is it different recruiting for your alma mater and versus recruiting for SMU?
Recruiting is recruiting. I mean, obviously, at the University of Houston being my alma mater, I knew a little bit more about that place than most people coming in from the outside. So that was, something, that integral sale, so to speak. But being here, what I've seen so far, there's a lot to sell here. There's a lot of history and great tradition here. There's been a lot of great players that played here. We're in a great city, the city of Dallas. It's a great institution. One of the best academic institutions in the country, so that's easy to sell to a person that's really concerned about their, child getting a quality education. This is second to none. And then having the rich tradition and history, guys that have played before. It's not like this place obviously hadn't done anything. I mean, it has. You just got to be reminded of that, and then once you instill that in the community, then this is going to be fun. I mean, I'm excited about selling what SMU has to offer.
Are you ready for the first kid who asks you, Coach, I'm thinking about SMU or Houston, why shouldn't I go play for your alma mater?
It depends on what position he plays. If he's a receiver, hey, you're going to get the best receiver coach in the country, in my opinion. And, I'm looking forward to that battle. And for me, recruiting is an opportunity for me to play and compete again. So, I'm sure they'll have some things that they want to say, and I'll have some things that I want to say. So we'll see what happens when that comes.
When you went out on the road the last few weeks before signing day, what kind of reception did you get from high school coaches and parents now that you're representing SMU?
And again, that's about building relationships. So the relationships carry over from one school to another, and having those relationships. Now, they were very positive about SMU, very positive about June Jones and the rest of the staff that is here. So, I don't think there's any negatives out there in regards to SMU. So my relationships will always be intact with the people that I've dealt with in recruiting in the state of Texas and Louisiana. So, they're supportive. So wherever I am, they will support.
University of Houston has, for maybe a couple decades, since you played at least, had a reputation for wide receivers who, even if they're not that big, are always lightning fast. Does that become your number one priority when you're either figuring out which receivers play or what receivers you're recruiting? Is it going to look like a track team out on the side of the field now?
Well, one thing we can't do as coaches is coach speed. So I mean, I think one of the things you want to do is go out and make sure that that individual can, you know, do what you want him to do for your offense. I mean, our offense is predicated on stretching the defense, you know, and separating from a defense. So speed is a big part of that. And I think you first have to look at, you know, that ability, but also whether he fits your program, or does he fit your offense, can he survive your school, and, you know, those things. So that will definitely be a factor. I don't know if it will be the defining factor or the main factor, but it will definitely be a factor.